Thank you. it's the moment you've all been waiting for.
Have a legendary weekend.
Hello! So much stuff to cover.
Oh, things just got real. Ladies and gentlemen, Blizzcon love is in the air.
It's pretty cool.
I'm speechless.
Who's gonna take it all? That is the story of right now.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, are you ready for the grand finals?
Give it up one more time for your world champion!
Our champion,
Be good to one another, have fun, welcome home.
We come from China,
From Stockholm, Sweden.
Sydney, Australia, Huntsville, Alabama.
Hey, that's awesome.
There are no strangers at Blizzcon, only friends you haven't met yet.
And the stage is set for, once again, more games, more insight, more cosplay, more of everything, more BlizzCon. We are back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the All Access channel for BlizzCon 2018, Day 2. I'm Alex Albrecht, joined once again by Michelle Morrow and Malik Forte, and we are coming to you live from the Anaheim Convention Center for another 10+ hours of non-stop BlizzCon action with more panels, more guests, more deep dives into your favorite Blizzard games.
There really is a lot going on.
It seems like every year there's a lot going on, but every year there's
keep
more
getting
going
bigger
on.
and bigger and bigger, and it all leads up to closing night festivities, which this year, for the very first time, features 3 musical acts on 3 stages, offering just a little something for everyone, so you guys can choose. We're gonna have Christian Naren, Hodor in the Overwatch arena, Lindsay Sterling on the Hero stage, and Train performing on the Mythic stage. So whatever your musical taste is, you know, you can
You're
have
covered.
a choice in this one.
Yeah.
I love that.
Options this year.
Yeah, options.
Yeah, and of course, today's the day it all goes down on the esports stages. As we head to the final matches in every tournament, we'll be bringing you live updates all day long to keep you posted on everything that's happening here on Championship Saturday. Starting with my first update, which is coming up in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's not even 10 a.m. here in Anaheim, California, but things are already heating up here at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the Mythic Keystone Challenges, by the way.
Oh,
Let's take a quick
absolutely.
look at the physical locations, as it were.
Yes.
Obviously, the Mythic stage, a bunch of the big announcements, Train coming up later today.
We've got, the Arena World Championship over for Warcraft and the MDI, which is going to be super fun.
Very excited to watch that.
Right, we have our Heroes of the Storm stage where the HGC finals are going down.
Yeah, and the granddaddy of them all, StarCraft 2 World Championship Series happening over there.
Overwatch Arena, home of the Ash and the World
upsets.
Cup and upsets. So many upsets.
We have over where the Hearthstone Global Games are going down, which has been pretty excellent so far.
Yeah.
And up at the Dark Moon Fair, we've got the Epic stage and the Legendary stage. A lot of social interaction going on over there, which is always great. And then, of course, flying all the way back here to us. Speaking of us and BlizzCon, let's take a quick look at today's panel schedule. Lots of stuff to go to. Here's the Storm Deep Dive is going to kick off here at 10 a.m.
Right after that, too, you know, we've got the voices of Overwatch. I love always hearing with the voiceover actors.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and at 12:30, we've got StarCraft 2. What's next?
And look, at 2:30, we're going to get Overwatch Building a Hero, which is always great to find out how do they come up with those amazing heroes.
And I heard, you know, the Play Fair, Play Nice panel is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that should be an interesting one to check in on
Yeah,
for sure.
Sure. And then, of course, the immersive sounds of Azeroth over at the Legendary panels as well,
yeah.
which is going to be pretty dope as well. I'm all about just I'm an audiophile, so I'm all about the sound and the immersion that the sound will bring in a game as well.
Right.
And Soundcraft is another panel that's going to be covering that as well.
Yeah, and then at 4 we have Stay a While and Listen. And then, of course, 5:30 Geek and Sundry live over at the legendary Stage.
That's right, and we got one of those build-a-panels that they did with the World of Creation and World of Warcraft. The community finally settled on that one. So that should be really cool, because anything about world creating inside of Warcraft is that's got me. That
Yeah, a
puts my
lot of
heart.
art panels coming up. It's always great to see how the artists go. I mean, everything from sound design, artwork, cinematics. It's just we're literally covering everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally
anything
covering
you wanted to
everything.
learn or just know about in general while you're playing.
I'm all about the worlds and how they built them. It's cool, hearing about the creative process that went behind that stuff. Indeed. But guys, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the guests we have lined up for today. We got some superstars coming through. Starting with Choco Sunny, executive producer of Overwatch, who's going to come through, talk some Ash, talk some Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
I'm all about hearing about that.
I'm excited to talk to Wyatt Chang here, lead game designer over at Diablo. He's really excited, enthused about everything that's going on with Diablo. I know Alex has got a lot of questions for him, that's for sure. And
Tim Morton's up at 2:15, production director of StarCraft 2. And Alex Galanis, we got a lot of stuff to talk to him about Heroes of the Storm at 3:50.
Yeah.
And that's not even the end of the day.
We still have got Dean Ayala from the senior final designer of Hearthstone. So we're going to talk to him about the new expansion.
Right. We have John Hyde, the executive producer of World of Warcraft Classic.
I'm very excited to hear what he's got to say.
Taking it back. Right. And then later on today, I'm going to be talking to Nate Nancer, the commissioner of the Overwatch League.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Indeed. We're going to talk some World Cup, talk some Season 2.
As I say, I hope we can
2019 season, that is.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. We're going to talk all that today.
So. All right, we'll be hearing it. We're going to wrap things up after that with closing festivities. It's going to feature Christian Naren, Lindsay Sterling, and Train. And I'm really excited about Lindsay Sterling. She's amazing. She gets super into it. She cosplays. She is an incredible artist. And we've not had a female performer here before, guest performance. So I'm really happy that she's here.
Yeah, and you can't beat Hodor.
I have a crush on her.
Come on, drop to Jupiter, man. I'm in.
It's crazy to me how she not only can perform and just play the violin, but she dances with it as well. It's just a lot going on there.
And Hodor.
Yes. All right, and don't forget, you can tweet questions for us or any of our guests using the hashtag BlizzCon.
Yeah, we got some good social polls going yesterday. So love the fact that you guys are
keep the social
interacting,
rolling, baby.
sending us cosplay.
They say on Twitter, don't add us. Please, definitely add us.
Yeah, add us. Yeah, we'll start making sure that we're weaving your questions in more and more.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, now it is time for us to set the stage for all of today's esports action. But first, we're going to go ahead and get you guys up to speed with what went down yesterday. We're going to go ahead first and jump into the Overwatch World Cup. Despite some crazy upsets, I'm looking at you, France, Finland, and USA. South Korea maintained its status as the final boss of Overwatch World Cup, handing Australia a quick trip home. They're going to be facing off against UK later on today, and on the other side of the bracket, there's going to be Team Canada going up against a dark horse for many, Team China. They've been looking really good this year.
Wild card.
Right, indeed. So we're going to move on to Hearthstone. Out of 48 countries that participated in the Hearthstone Global Games, only New Zealand, Norway, Brazil, and China remain and are set to do battle today for the championship. Brazil is the only team running who haven't dropped more than one series, and they're up against the fan favorites from New Zealand this morning. The other semifinal series will see the decorated players from Team China face off against Norway. In the HGC finals, the dreams are still alive for Blizzard's own Kim Fan as her wildcard pick Miracle took down Tempest in an upset that might have been expected after Miracle's stellar performance at Open Week. Miracle will now go up against the Titan Team Dignitas with Gen.G facing Team Liquid on the other side of the bracket. We're one step closer to that dream match of Gen.G and Team Dignitas in the HGC finals actually happening. And then the march towards crowning a non-Korean StarCraft 2 WCS champion at Blizzcon is underway as Cyril dominated Dark and now awaits defending champion Rogue in the semifinals. This is going to be crazy to see how this pans out. Cyril is the only non-Korean remaining in the tournament, and it looks like he is poised to win this with the momentum he's had all year.
That's pretty awesome.
Now. And then, of course, it was a big day for WoW Arena as the Method organization was just doing crazy things. Method Black and Method Orange moved on in the WoW Arena World Championship upper bracket. Method Orange would prevail in a late match last night, though, and dropped Method Black to the lower bracket. For Method Orange's Sea-Doo, a fan favorite, he's been trying for years to win the finals at Blizzcon, and now that he's a dad, he feels this is the year that he can do it. The fans are right behind him, and he sits comfortably in the grand finals, waiting to see who he's going to face off against. We got a lot of action when it comes to esports going down, and I'm super excited, as you can tell. I always get really loud and really belligerent when it comes to
As you should. That's what makes it fun. That's what the fans like.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'll be back later to keep you guys up to date with what's going on with the Championship Saturday, so definitely stay tuned for the esports updates.
Malik, thank you so much for the esports update. Always appreciate it. All right, guys, time now to check in with Anna Prosser and Rachel Querico, who will be our eyes and ears on the floor today. So let's start with Anna, who's standing by in Mythic Hall. What's going on, Anna? What you up to today?
Thanks so much, Michelle. I am stoked because, like you said, I get to be the eyes and ears, which means I get to walk the Blizzcon floor. Yesterday, I had so much fun checking out some tech at Asus, ROG, and NVIDIA, and I got to play with Nerf guns. I had such a good time today. It's going to be more and more fun. I get to go see the new Jaina statue and check that out. I hope you guys have seen it, but if you haven't at home, don't worry, I'm going to show you. We get to go back to the Dark Moon Fair. There's always tons of fun stuff to do there, like pins and patches. I did some trading last year. Hopefully I can score some really good ones. And then also, word is that there's some Murloc cosplay I need to check out over at Hearthstone, so I'm going to be at that very, very soon and hopefully meet some fans as well. But I got to get to it, so for now, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, they're all over the place today.
They're killing it. Speaking of killing it all over the place, now let's check in with Rachel, who's standing by at Legendary Hall.
A carnage going on behind us here in the Overwatch Arena. It is absolutely murderous over here. But later on today, we are going to go to the March on the Murlocs Parade. I'm super excited to check in. Anna and I are going to go shopping at the gear store. But before then, I have to get my requisite Overwatch in. And I've got Zoe here to catch me up on what happened yesterday. Zoe, this did not at all play out like Overwatch fans thought it would.
Oh, no, it really didn't. I think all of our predictions went down the drain. We had a lot of big upsets yesterday. One of the favorites of the tournament dropped out first round, and that was Team USA. Defeated by the UK. It was a big upset. No one expected that. Finland is not in the tournament anymore. France dropped out against Canada. The only favorite who's still in it to win it is South Korea, and I think that's probably gonna happen.
USA lost to UK. Does that mean we have to give the country back?
Yes, I think. Yeah, it's logical. It's only logical.
So you're gonna have to console me while I deal with USA's loss. Back to you guys on the desk.
Does that mean we have to get the country back? That was amazing, Rachel.
I can make so many jokes about Team UK and Team USA. I make so many jokes about that. It's crazy.
I just love that one of them was on King's Road. No, not King.
Yeah,
Yes.
King's Road. Actually, when the match turned around, King's Road takes place in London. So.
Yeah, it's their home turf.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're ready to roll with two panels going right now to the Heroes of the Storm deep dive on the Mythic stage and the immersive sounds of Azeroth on the Legendary stage, which is where we're headed right now.
Thank you very much. We'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy the panel.
Thank you, David. I'm looking forward to a little bit later when David and his band are going to return and have another performance for us. So today, we're going to talk about how sound can be a narrative device that helps support both immersion and the progression of story. In a game like World of Warcraft, one place that sound really shines is in how it supports the storytelling. Good acting and casting, for example, can bring a character to life and help you invest in their story. Who was here yesterday for the Voices of War panel? Had such a good cast on Battle for Azeroth. The music. Music often provides emotional guideposts that help you understand what you should be feeling. It can also be an anchor for a character or story arc, and that's something we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Sound design is a little more stealthy. It provides an ambience that brings you into the environment. It's subtle. It's a subtle craft. It's not always exactly what you see, but it's often filling in the gaps, the unseen, the abstract and intangible. For more than a decade, I've had the good fortune to be able to work with some amazing sound artists and producers that have made all of these things a reality in World of Warcraft. It's my privilege now to actually introduce you to some of the team that worked on Battle for Azeroth. So please join me in welcoming Glenn Stafford, principal composer, Glenn was also the founder of the Blizzard audio department and one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. Michael Hill, sound designer. And Torin Shaman Main. Michael's actually much more than that. He is our team modular synth fanatic. He has also taken the mantle from me as the person who has the most alts. As of Legion, at least, he has at least one of every class at max level, and currently is working on leveling his personal army up to 120 in Battle for Azeroth, so good luck with that. Thanks. Dave Roven, sound supervisor for Battle for Azeroth. Dave has been working in audio for more than 25 years. 20 of that has actually been in game audio. 20 years of game audio. He started at Blizzard 8 years ago and has worked on a number of our titles, including Mist of Pandaria and Legion. So, with Dave, before we actually dive too deep, you took on the mantle of sound supervisor during Battle for Azeroth. Why don't you start us off by talking about your approach to sound design and what that actually looks like for World of Warcraft going forward?
Okay. So yeah, I took over about a year ago, and I can't tell you how humbling it is to work on this game. It's a legend in game sound, and I've been in game sound a long time. So I'm just really happy to be on the team at all. I want to talk a little bit about my philosophy of approaching sound for games, and it's really based on 3 pillars. The first pillar is to make the player feel as powerful as possible. The way we do that, one way we do that in WoW, is to make your sounds and your spells and skills louder than anybody else's. So if you are a gnome arms warrior, like I am, and you are standing next to another gnome arms warrior and you both fire off Colossus Smash, yours will overpower theirs. And then, because you are the most important person in Azeroth at that moment. The second pillar is to help the player play the game, and that's just give clues on what's going on in the world so that you can make smart decisions. So for example, if you're wandering around in Drustvar and you get too close to a creature, they will fire off a aggro sound and you will know you have pulled that creature, and then you can make a decision whether to fight or run. The third pillar is the more interesting pillar, which is immersion. What immersion is it's a form of storytelling. It can be as simple as a really beautiful ambience. So if you've been to the Broken Shore, my predecessor, Mike Johnson, did an amazing ambience. If you just sit there for a while and listen to what the Broken Shore sounds like, it sets the stage for what you're going to encounter in that zone. It's really beautiful. Another example would be flying around. When you fly around, what do you hear? It's worth taking a listen. Just to experience where you are as you transition from zone to zone, how those things go back and forth. At its core, immersion is about emotional engagement. And one game that I think, in a very simple and elegant way, does a great job of drawing the player in. And that game is Space Invaders from the early 80s, late 70s, I'm not sure. And it has one technique, and it really works. And it basically, they play a 4-note melody, a boom, 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 and just speed it up slowly over the course of the level. And it's very effective, very simple, and I think really good sound design. Like Space Invaders, we're kind of an old game, not quite that old. But we have some technical challenges, and people like Michael spend a decent amount of their day just trying to figure out how to accomplish even sometimes simple tasks. I come from a technical background. I have a computer science background, and that is my strength. So I feel like it's my job to improve the quality of the tools that these guys have. One thing that came in during the Legion cycle is something called the field of vision filtering. The idea is to help the player focus on what's dangerous and what's in front of them. And so what we do is we take everything that not only is behind you, but also on screen, but off to the sides, and we lower their volume a little bit extra, and we also roll off some of the treble and roll off some of the bass, and that helps you focus on what's dangerous and what's important.
All right, we've got a third panel starting up right now on Epic Channel, Artists at Work, Building Ash in-game. If you'd like to continue watching Immersive Sounds of Azeroth, you can find that one on the Legendary channel, or you can stay right here with us as we head over to the Mythic stage to catch the conclusion of the Heroes of the Storm's deep dive.
One of my favorite pictures of Orphea is also her debut piece of concept art. So when the team saw this image, we didn't know her name, we certainly didn't know her abilities, and aside from knowing she's the Raven Lord's daughter, she was essentially a mystery to us. And yet, this still rings true as Orphea today, despite this being the earliest piece of her development puzzle. Which speaks, of course, to the commitment of the team, which is something I'm very proud of, but ultimately to the strength of character she exudes in this single image. My name is Lana Wyszynski. I am a senior animator on the Heroes of the Storm team, and I have the privilege of sharing with you today about how the art team brought Orphea into the Nexus. It may not look like much, but what comes between this concept image on the left and this final in-game image on the right is chaos. Or at least it's very chaotic. We were creating a brand new hero, which is an opportunity not typically afforded to us working on a game like Heroes of the Storm. Most Blizzard characters arrive in the Nexus with a strong sense of identity. Chromie, cute and confused. Jimmy needs to give him some pepper. Creating Orphea was thrilling. We're creating something entirely new, something truly ours, something substantial and playable, and as Kevin just mentioned, born of the Nexus. However, it was also a challenge because she still had to feel familiar. She had to belong in this world while being unique enough to be fresh, and most importantly, awesome enough to warrant a place on our hero roster. Not to mention there were multiple teams, like for the comics and the trailer, who had to wait to see what we created before their work could even begin, which added a lot of pressure to our process. Starting from nothing isn't always liberating. It can feel very oppressive. Suddenly, this amazing blob monster that we have that can be anything we want is, oh my god, just a blob. That can be, I don't know, anything. So what do? Well, we build a foundation for ourselves. We find structure for the character, add rules to how she's able to interact with the rest of the established world. We ask questions, like, how much of the magic is Orphea's versus drawn from the relic? What are the limitations to what this relic power can become? How many teeth are too many teeth? Answering these questions for the game design helps to inform the lore, and piecing together the lore informs and inspires the art, which in turn feeds back into the visual development for both the comics and the trailer. In the end, what helped our team the most is when we stopped thinking of Orphea and the monster as two separate pieces. Rather than seeing Orphea or her monster, we realized that this dark ancient magic is actually an extension of Orphea's power. So if I were to hold on to this relic, for example, we might see radiant beams of sunshine. But for Orphea, this is a look into her depths and her personality. The relic affords her power, but how it manifests is an amplification of Orphea's own feelings. So how do we translate this concept visually into a playable kit? Luckily, despite hearty amounts of exploration over the course of many months of work, there was one ability that stuck to the team right from the very beginning called Chomp. I'm going to let Kyle get into the specifics of this ability in just a few minutes, but the inspiration for Chomp was pretty straightforward. If we've got a giant monster to work with, it's going to take a bite out of something. Even from paper design, Kyle's pitch was so visceral, I could immediately picture this ability. So much so that I was already drawing on my copy of the pitch before he'd finished giving it. She would summon this giant set of teeth around her and slam them down in front of her, effectively chomping her enemies. I pitched these visuals to the team, and although these sketches are crappy, we agreed to move forward with a prototype. Working with one of our amazing character artists, Vadim Lamar, we fleshed out this temp model for Chomp, or as we lovingly came to know them, the dentures, and moved forward into prototype animation. This example is 4 animations that I stitched together and partially keyed in the editor, which is the idle, the cast, the rebound, and the return to idle. I pulled that explosion effects from Sylvanas to make it sing, and this hit home for the team. This being the first time we saw Orphea in motion, we agreed this hit the right intensity. Orphea's confidence, that power pose, and the energy of the monster's impact driving her backward. We could even feel a bit of the relationship between the two of them, where Orphea's in enough control of the dark magic to have it do her bidding, but not really aware of her own empowered strength. This example is our effects team's first pass at all of her early abilities to Orphify them. You can see Chomp is in the bottom left-hand corner. And if you've played her already, you can see how far we've come from here. We also ended up pulling the knockback out of Chomp from the base kit. Alex is going to dive into that more in just a few minutes. This temp work read super well in a vacuum, but as soon as we started play testing, she felt very detached from her abilities. We have this spry, youthful character and these dark, heavy effects. People are asking, why aren't we just making a monster hero? What is the point of Orphea aside from just being a relic holder? That is where our tandem development and a collaborative environment really paid off. The amazing team working on putting together the trailer you saw at opening ceremonies was doing some visual exploration of their own, riffing on our initial prototypes of the relic magic, and they returned with these. So badass and chaotic, it has a touch of heat. We were super inspired. It spoke so much more to a relationship we felt was missing from the strictly purple vibe we had going on before, and we started to consider all of Orphea's magic as a gradient. The chaos would still have these deep violet tones, but now we have beautiful contrast with the striking magenta heat of Orphea's magic at the core of everything, the power behind the power. So, after all is said and done, and with a little bit of Wavy Hands cooking show magic, this is Chomp today. Once we had our visual pillars locked in, creating the rest of the kit was less of a fight and more finesse, but we still had regular check-ins, making sure we were locking down on clear silhouettes for readability, that dark, seething chaos of the relic magic, and of course the heat of Orphea at the heart of it all. Once we have gameplay locked in, there's still another challenge left for the art team to face, which is establishing Orphea's character. We spent so much time discovering this hero, learning everything that we could about her. It was important to us that she had her time to shine as well. It can be easy to get distracted by how amazing it feels to violently mash your enemies to death with rage magic, but Orphea is a unique individual with thoughts and feelings and motivations, and so we took the time to make sure those permeated the spaces in between. In one of Orphea's earliest iterations, she was described as dancer-like. And while she didn't end up in any actual ballet gear, we love the visual of taking a bite out of someone's health bar and then pirouetting away. There's something about the fury and the grace, that brutal elegance was something we really tried to hold on to while we designed her kit. There was also a lot of debate about the weight of the relic she's carrying. Can she actually walk with that, or does she keep herself magically afloat out of necessity? Keeping this idea of dancer in mind, I thought it was important she be as versatile as possible, yet always staying light on her feet. Being raised in the upper echelons of Raven Court, it's important she is naturally quite poised, but she's also a Realm Lord's daughter. We have to make sure that it's clear that hoisting this relic around all the time is really nothing to her. She's carrying the weight of her lineage on her back in a large ancient vessel, and yet can still bound effortlessly into battle. And of course, descend elegantly back to her feet. Being young, Orphea's got her own idols, and so she's gonna dance like a teen pop celebrity. And also being young, maybe she's got a bit of attitude. You know, Dad's being a jerk. She runs away from home. We've all gone through a phase. She's coming into the Nexus with a hearty amount of that youthful sass. This guy takes his job a little too seriously. Being an animation nerd myself, I would love to go through her kit piece by piece and detail the specifics of what it took to bring out Orphea's character through gameplay, but I animated just about 100 animations for Orphea, and this panel actually has limited time, so I'm only going to show you one more, which is Orphea's heart. It's the last piece of her kit I animated, and it is, at least to me, a culmination of everything I learned while working on it. It has zippy, graceful movement, and Orphea acting in sync with the monster, but it's a quieter moment we don't really get to see anywhere else. Orphea's kit takes a really visceral look at the fury and the power she has stored up inside her, but especially Orphea taking a look at herself, seeing the darkest parts, and ultimately finding acceptance. Take a look for yourself on the show floor. I'm going to pass it off to the amazing Kyle Dates. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lana. How's it going, guys? So, I'm super excited to finally be up here and be able to talk to you guys about how we took all those great ideas that you just heard for Orphea's character and turned them into a playable hero in the game that you can play today. My name is Kyle Dates. I'm a senior game designer on the Heroes team, and I'm the hero designer for Orphea. So normally when we get up here, we talk about how we take the fantasy of a hero from the game that they're from, such as World of Warcraft or StarCraft, and bring them over to Heroes. But Orphea gave us this unique opportunity to actually create a hero with no obligations to fantasy, which was super exciting for us. Now, fantasy is super important because it's what actually makes you feel like you're playing that character when you're in the game. When we brought Ragnaros over, for example, it was extremely important to feel like you were that same Fire Lord from Molten Core, swinging Sulphurus around and wiping raids. But how do we build Orphea's fantasy? First, we take a look at some of the things that we already know about her. We know that she's Nexus born. We know that she's the graceful and intelligent daughter of a Realm Lord. And she has some knowledge of magic herself. She also carries around a powerful relic that's filled with a dark magic. And she's going to use that relic to enhance her own magic. Once we know who Orphea is, we can begin to build a list of goals for her that we want to achieve in the gameplay. And goals are extremely important when we're developing a hero because they are what define what a hero can or cannot do, or in some cases, what they should not do. So for Orphea, since she is our first Nexus-born hero, we want to make sure she's approachable for players of all skill levels. And so in order to do that, we're going to make her a ranged assassin. Ranged assassins typically have a softer learning curve, but they also offer that high mastery curve that allows you to continually get better as you play more. And we have a lot of ranged assassins in the game, so in order to make her feel a little bit more unique and different amongst all of them, we thought it would be really cool if she had some sources of strong self-sustain to allow her to stay healthy throughout fights. Once we have a list of goals for the character, we can begin to build her base kit. So for Orphea, I'm first going to start talking about her trait, but her trait was actually one of the last pieces of her kit that we developed. As we were working through her base kit, we iterated constantly on her trait, but the same common goals were found throughout all the different ideas that we tried. The first of these goals was that this is her source of sustain. We wanted the trait to be that unique mechanic that she was bringing to the table. In addition, we obviously wanted it to be fun and engaging for the players, but we wanted it to be something that's more passive, because as we add active abilities to a hero, it increases the complexity of the hero and makes it more difficult to play. So with those goals in mind, what we finally ended up landing on was Overflowing Chaos. As Orphea deals damage to heroes with her basic abilities, the chaotic magic within the relic intensifies, and when she basic attacks a hero, she unleashes this magic almost unaware of her own strength, dealing increased damage and healing herself for the damage dealt. This trait had a lot of things going for it once we started playing with it that we really liked. It was her primary source of sustain, and it also allowed her to stay healthy throughout fights while dealing increased damage to enemies. In addition to that, as you get better at playing Orphea, you begin to find moments where you can hit heroes, multiple heroes at once with your abilities, and then you start to find ways to spin that chaos on the most threatening heroes. And this actually created a really cool basic attack weaving gameplay style that felt super fun and engaging, despite the ability being a passive. So next up, we have Orphea's Q ability and my personal favorite ability, Shadow Waltz. After a small delay, Orphea deals damage to all enemies in a line in front of herself. If she hits a hero, she gets a cooldown reduction and she automatically dashes a short distance as soon as she moves. Early concept art of the Ravenlord's daughter portrayed her as a dancer of sorts, and so I wanted to enable the opportunity for graceful motion in her gameplay. This is a common thread that you'll see in her talents, which Alex is going to be talking about shortly. Now, we've heard your feedback about mobility, and we're careful about the ways that we add mobility to the game. We knew that in order to be a dancer, we needed mobility, but making sure there was counterplay for the enemies was extremely important to us as we worked on Orphea. Conditional mobility is the main consideration that we had when building Shadow Waltz. It's mobility that is granted as a reward for fulfilling a condition. Orphea must hit a hero with Shadow Waltz in order to gain the mobility, which gives enemies an opportunity to dash out of the way, dodge out of the way, or interrupt her cast. Once it felt satisfying, not only for the Orphea player, but also for her enemies, we knew we landed in a good place, and we moved on. Now, once we started playing with this ability, it was extremely fun. The team loved it. The low cooldown created a trait fueling machine where she's continuously gaining chaos to stay healthy throughout the fights, and then she's using that chaos to stay healthy and dashing out of the way of the more powerful AoE effects with the mobility that she gets. This brings us to Orphea's second basic ability, which is Chomp. You heard Lana talk about this a little bit earlier, so let's dive right in and take a look. Orphea materializes a vicious maw around herself that slams down on enemies in front of her, dealing heavy damage. The concept art that you saw earlier showed off this super awesome monster that we just knew we had to use as a part of her base kit. Once we got it in the game and we were testing it, it felt like a super awesome fantasy moment, and the big delay before the damage made it feel extremely satisfying and visceral to land. Combined with her Q, her kit was starting to feel amazing. A typical playtest had Orphea dashing around the edges of a fight with Shadow Waltz before dashing in on an unsuspecting enemy and sealing the deal with Chomp. When you finally hit with this ability, you really feel like you earned it, and your enemy should too. This brings us to Orphea's last piece of her base kit, which is her E ability, Dread. Orphea releases a wave of dark magic that deals damage to all enemies that it passes through, and at the end of its path, it violently erupts after a small delay, dealing increased damage and also slowing enemies in the area. Dread was another piece of Orphea's base kit, like her trait, that we iterated on heavily throughout her development. Initially, the delay was at the beginning, which helped to match the theme of her other abilities having delays, but in testing, we found that it was just a little bit too difficult to use. So we made a simple change, and we took the delay from the beginning of the ability and changed it to be at the end of the ability. And this felt much better to us and actually allowed Orphea to more reliably gain chaos from her trait. So as we built out her base kit, we knew in the back of our minds that we really needed some epic moments for the monster within Orphea to be unleashed. And it made a lot of sense to us for these moments to be reserved for the heroics, as this is where we see Orphea's true potential. So with that said, her first heroic ability is Eternal Feast. Orphea unleashes the monster within herself, dealing damage to all enemies in an area. If a hero is hit, the ability repeats itself again and again and again and again until either all the heroes in the area are dead or they fleed from the area entirely. And this heroic really feels like Orphea is unleashing her inner rage on her foes. Once we started using it, it was super fun for us, and it felt like an epic monster moment, not only for Orphea and her allies, but also for her enemies. It forces them to scatter from the area, which opens them up to being picked off as they flee, or being devoured if they don't. For the second heroic, we knew we wanted to still use the monster, but we wanted it to feel just as epic as the first. Initially, we tried an idea very similar to Eternal Feast, except that instead of repeating forever, the monster would grow to an enormous size and deal heavy damage to everyone in the area, as well as stunning them. However, once we started playing with that, it felt a little bit too vanilla, and it kind of felt too similar to Eternal Feast, so we made two simple changes. One of the changes we made was we changed the shape from a circle to a rectangle, and then we thought it was really cool, we added a pull before the stun went off. This is what we ended up today. Orphea manifests a set of crushing jaws at the targeted location, pulling enemies together, damaging and stunning them. And where Eternal Feast is great for providing disruption and damage in team fights, Crushing Jaws is great for setting up big plays and initiating on enemies. Orphea already had really cool combo moments in her base kit with Dread and Shadow Waltz and dashing in with Chomp. And we really wanted to enhance that combo and give Orphea a way to have some self-setup of her own. So I hope you all enjoyed this look at how we created a brand new hero born from the Nexus. Now that we have a base kit and heroics finalized, it's time to jump into talents. Alex is going to be talking you through some of her talents, builds, and play styles. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Nyman. I'm a senior live game designer on Heroes of the Storm. So while the rest of the team is busy designing heroes and creating the art and lore of the Nexus, my team focuses on the finer details of the gameplay of the heroes. And by that I mean we're in the corner playing the game all day long. But luckily they let us do that. So we playtest all of our heroes a ton, and Orphea was no different. Now, in the same way that Orphea's character and her visuals sort of revealed themselves over the course of her development, we found that as we continue to playtest Orphea, a lot of her gameplay styles begin to solidify themselves. So I want to talk about just two of those today, as well as a few of the talents that support these different ways of playing the hero. So the first gameplay style I want to talk about is this concept of a ranged dancer. Now this way of playing Orphea, she likes to rely on Shadow Waltz's dash to primarily jump away from enemy heroes, keeping them at distance, doing the majority of her damage with Shadow Waltz and Dread. Now this is a great way to play Orphea if the opposing team doesn't have a lot of good ways to close the gap with you, and also they have a lot of heavy ways to disable you, and therefore you don't really ever want to get close to begin with. So if you're facing opponents like Arthas or Garrosh, it'd be a good way to play Orphea. Now, the other way to play Orphea that we found, or one of the other ways to play Orphea we found, is this aggressive monster play style. Now this Orphea likes to jump forward with Shadow Waltz's dash, jumping into the close range of the opponents, the majority of her damage from melee with her W ability, Chomp. Now this is a great way to play Orphea if you can't really afford to kite opponents because they're just too mobile, or if they don't have a lot of crowd control to punish you if you do try to jump in close. So if you're facing opponents like Genji or Lucio or Zeratul, it's a great way to play Orphea here. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the talents that support the ranged dancer play style first, starting with On Point and Allegrissimo. So these are two talents that augment Shadow Waltz, giving it increased benefit if you hit with the end of the ability, kind of the end claw of your skill shot. If you do so, not only will you do more damage, you'll greatly reduce the cooldown of Shadow Waltz, making you even more mobile, kind of letting you dance around the battlefield, keeping opponents at range, which is your goal. Now, this is a great way to play, but if opponents can close the gap, you simply can't get the benefits of these talents anymore. So if that's the case, it'd be great if there was another talent maybe that created distance between our opponents and ourselves. In that case, we brought back something from an earlier part of Orphea's kit during development, but this time as a talent the players can opt into. So the Backbiter talent makes so the sheer force of chomping enemy heroes propels Orphea backwards, putting her at distance once again to get the benefits of a talent like On Point. So, Orphea will be dancing around the battlefield once again with Backbiter, but this is all great and all, but what if we don't just want to use Chomp when we're playing this sort of range dancer playstyle to protect ourselves? Occasionally it'd be great if we could take a Chomp out of opponents from range. In that case, we have the Lurking Terror talent. So now this causes it so that after casting Dread, for a couple seconds after it explodes, you can activate your 1 key to cast Chomp from a distance. You'll see here in the video. So not only will this deal big damage on unsuspecting opponents, but it's actually a big surprise because you also still have your Chomp cooldown preserved, separate cooldown entirely, and you can still get the benefits of the Backbiter talent discussed previously. All of this combines this graceful dancer Orphea. She maneuvers around the battlefield, dodging enemy skill shots, and as long as she can continue to land her Shadow Bolts, she'll continue to be very maneuverable and a headache for opponents to deal with in the battlefield. Okay, so that's one way to play Orphea. But what if you like to be a little more aggressive? All of us every once in a while like to let out a little bit of our teenage angst and give opponents a little bit of lip and maybe a lot of teeth too. So we have the aggressive monster might be right up your alley. So we can see here Orphea can be very, very aggressive, jumping toward enemy heroes, taking a bite out of them. So let's look at some of the talents to support that way here. First we have the Insatiable talent. So you have a hunger, you want to chomp people all the time. The Insatiable talent is for you. This causes whenever you chomp an enemy hero, they reduce the cooldown of the ability to just 2 seconds, meaning you can chain these chomps together. Now this is great, and you can chain them all together for not only lots of damage, but also a good amount of trait stacks overflowing chaos that we're going to need since we're so aggressive. It's our way to keep ourselves alive. So, there's also another talent called Abyssal Symbiosis that also synergizes with how often we're casting Chomp. This causes it so that now that hitting Chomp on an enemy hero doesn't just give 1 stack of overflowing chaos, but the maximum, all 3. So as long as you can continue to weave basic attacks in between each of your Chomps, you'll be doing lots of damage as well as healing yourself a lot. Really important since we're so aggressive with this way of playing the character. Now, since we're chomping so much, we're in the middle of the enemy team fairly frequently too. So it'd be great if we had another talent that could take benefit from that. So here we have Invasive Miasma. Now you can activate Invasive Miasma, and after a short delay, Orphea explodes, draining the life force of all nearby enemy heroes, dealing damage as well as healing Orphea, and giving even more overflowing chaos. That's why it's overflowing, it's just everywhere. So combine all this together, and you have this aggressive monster Orphea that jumps toward enemy heroes and is this chain-chomping machine. As long as she continues to land these chomps and gets her basic attacks off, she'll out-sustain her opponents. So that's it for Orphea. Just a second before we wrap up, we're going to take your questions. So if you have any now about our live game design, about our hero designs, or about the art and lore of the Nexus, please line up at one of the microphones and we'll answer anything we can. Now, we had a ton of fun creating Orphea. We hope you have just as much fun playing her. You can play her right now on the show floor, or if you don't have the opportunity to because you're not here, or maybe you just are busy, a lot of things going on this weekend, we get it, you can play her starting next week on the PTR. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our Hero Deep Dive panel on Orphea, the Heir of Ravencourt. See you in the Nexus, everybody.
Let's do this. I don't think we have too much time, so go ahead.
Hi, I just have a simple question. You keep referring to Orphea as the first hero of the Nexus. So does that mean that we're going to have more heroes of the Nexus?
I'll tackle that one. You know, Heroes very much for us is still a game where we want to bring in Blizzard Fantasy. Like, that is our #1 priority, you know, bringing in heroes that we know the community knows and loves, and have those heroes across Blizzard games fight one another. Would we ever do this again? I'm not going to say no, but our priority, I think, is to get back to, get back to business, bringing in heroes we know the community wants. For us, like I said, I think this experience with Orphea was a great opportunity for us to shore up the identity of Heroes as a standalone game, and using Orphea as a great vehicle and sort of pinnacle for that effort. But, we have a lot of heroes from other games that we want to bring in. So, all right, maybe we're going to be focusing on that. But I'm not going to say no. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Are you comfortable with how elaborate Orphea's animations and graphics are compared to ancient heroes such as Arthas and Uther, who look quite dated and old?
Arthas and Uther are, and a lot of our older characters are sort of points of pride for us because they were early in development. We had a lot less time because we had to make so many heroes. That said, we have heard lots of feedback and we do know that they need some love. And it's a constant balance between the desire to go back and touch up these things. How long has Heroes been in development? Almost 5 years now. And the desire to create new, compelling content. And like we just said, we have like this long list of things we want to get through. So it's a balancing act between wanting to go back and also wanting to create more than.
Thanks.
Hi, I was wondering, I'm a former main, and this kid is a bit lackluster right now. Do you have any plans to update it or something about it?
I'm sorry, who are you main? Who did you main?
Illidan.
Illidan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Illidan, we know that we haven't seen him quite as much recently in the meta, and it's something we watch. Honestly, he's probably like a tiny bit away from just kind of becoming right in a mainstay again, and sometimes, so we could maybe go heavy-handed with kind of getting in there, but overall, we're pretty happy with the way the character plays. If anything, you might see maybe some small tuning adjustments here and there if we think we need to, but I think right now we're kind of on a wait and see because while it could be easy for us to kind of get too heavy-handed and really bring it, as soon as a character isn't seen for a couple weeks in HTC, we buff them and they're okay. We like to let the kind of meta figure itself out and sort of make developments on its own. So I won't say that we won't make any changes to Illidan, but he's right there where he's right in kind of the borderline where I'm not sure we need to do anything quite yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Fantastic job first.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Orphea is our first playable Nexus character.
Yeah.
But we've got lots of other characters that have been added, like the Gravekeeper, who are very intimately tied to Battlegrounds. So I'm wondering, what's the challenge in creating a character tied to a map versus a character that we're going to play as? And do you think we'll see?
BlizzCon 2018 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, Nintendo Switch, and NVIDIA.
That's my favorite. It's my favorite time of year.
I can't wait!
Speaking of favorite time of year, I want those chomp shirts.
I do too.
I want one so bad.
I know, there's a lot of things we want.
Like, Orphea's style is awesome. Like, all the 80s stuff, like the whole pitch through the notebook and like all the stuff.
Perfect.
Oh, God, I love it.
All right, guys,
Great.
it's time now to send it over to Rachel, who's getting ready for the March of the Murlocs with BlizzCon executive producer Sarah Lynn Smith. What is up, Sarah and Rachel? I can't hear her.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. We are on the floor. I've got Sarah Lynn Smith here, and as you can see, we got a bunch of Murlocs, so if you're getting technical difficulties, I'm blaming you guys.
So
we are back here, and Sarah Lynn Smith, I got a lot of questions about this. First and foremost, is this the very first in real life March of the Murlocs?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first of its kind, and I've been silly excited about it. I mean, any day you get to wear a onesie, that's a great day.
Do you guys agree? As I understand it, this is not the first March of the Murlocs ever, though. This is a bit of a tradition in Blizzard games.
Oh, in the games? Probably so. I don't know, March of Murlocs almost seems, are they normally herding or swarming? But yes, we have a deep history at Blizzard. I mean, World of Warcraft, you can barely go to any coastline without running into the Murlocs. I guess in Hearthstone, of course, Murlocs, you know, one card plays upon another to strengthen the play. You've got Murlocket in Diablo. You've got Murky, the hero in Heroes of the Storm. You've got, I guess, in the Overwatch Blizzard world, you've got, I guess, a Murky parking lot and an island of Murlocs. Yeah, we basically everywhere. There's a deep history with Blizzard here.
And as you said, less of a march, more of a swarm, especially when we're talking about Heroes of the Storm. So we got a swarm of Murlocs here. What is it about Murlocs that is so appealing to the Blizzard community, I have to ask?
Oh, I think they're whimsical and cute and almost like a little aspirational. I mean, they're stronger together. They come in packs. They fight as a team, as a unit.
That's aspirational is not a word I would have thought to apply to Murlocs, but now as I'm noodling on it, I gotta say, I believe it.
I don't mind saying it's a stretch.
So the Murlocs are gonna be marching through BlizzCon, led by their fearless leader. Where are they gonna finish up? Where can the rest of the BlizzCon attendees join this parade?
Oh, I see. They're gonna be weaving throughout Hall D, B, C, A, and they're gonna make their way through the Grand Plaza, where I think we wanna have a picture, a photo opportunity. We're aiming for like 11:30, but you know how these things go, so anytime around then.
Well, you guys pretty much know when the Murloc parade is coming because you're going to be able to hear them, I think. And it's a very distinctive call. I believe they're speaking a certain language.
Oh, Nurglish? Oh, I see.
Do you, Sarah Lynn, speak Nurglish?
Well, I do, and I believe I have quite a few people here who are anxious to help out with this. An impression.
All right, guys. What power we have here. Well, Sarah Lynn, there's only one thing left to do.
Let's get this march started. Woohoo!
Get out of the way! Get out of the way!
Oh my God, that's amazing!
They haven't quite been released. They haven't quite been released, but they are being released as we speak.
They're right there. I'm so excited.
All the like blowing of the conch. It's like, are you really doing that? Like, this is like full-on things. This is amazing. All right, look, we expect the parade to pass by our set at some point. So if the timing is right, God, to the Murloc gods we pray, we will bring you live coverage once they close in on us.
Oh God, that'd be amazing.
All right, it is time for a little primer on the many ways to enjoy BlizzCon this year. Check it out.
I am here with Caleb Arsenault, senior game producer for Diablo Immortal. Caleb, how are you?
Doing good.
I am so excited to see it. First off,
no matter how you experience BlizzCon, whether you're joining us in person or watching from home, we've got you covered to make sure you never miss a moment. The two main ways to watch are through BlizzCon.com and the BlizzCon mobile app, and both have been revamped for 2018. We've also added support for both Chromecast and AirPlay, and coming to you in 8 languages, including live translation for the All Access channel and events on the Mythic stage. And if you want to watch on the big screen, you can now download the new BlizzCon TV app, available for both Apple TV and Fire TV. You'll also get an all-new BlizzCon video experience directly through the BlizzardBattle.net desktop app. Combine all of this with a virtual ticket, and you can really buff your BlizzCon experience by unlocking full access to all this year's BlizzCon video content, live streams, first dibs on BlizzCon loot, and much more. Enjoy, and we'll see you at BlizzCon.
All right, guys, it is time now to show your faction pride.
I'm so glad we're doing this.
By voting in the hashtag battle, because we got to figure out who's dominating the social media scene between the Horde and the Alliance. And, you know, there are 2 choices here, but one real choice, which is hashtag for the Horde.
I thought you were going to say hashtag for the Alliance.
We will see how many of you are traitors
I am
later
excited.
on.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how this actually lands out. We got some, let's see what else is going on in the social storm. This is from Wolf Inns. My wife bought me the BlizzCon 2018 virtual ticket as an early Christmas present.
That's very nice.
I'm having so much fun finally getting to experience some BlizzCon magic. Hashtag best wife ever.
Yes.
Wolf, we totally agree. Welcome and thank you so much for enjoying. You may hear some Murlocs happening in the background.
The Murlocs are passing, and Nairo Girl says, oh my God, day 2 is here, BlizzCon 2018, let's do this. And I couldn't agree more, because if you were here, she's here right now. I hope you're seeing all the Murlocs. Let's actually swing out and take a look at them right now.
Let's go live to the swarm of the Murlocs.
What's up, Murlocs?
Hello, Murlocs.
Hey. Yes.
That's amazing. Oh, Reaper Murloc. Amazing.
Amazing. Oh my God, it's a Roadhog Murloc.
Oh my God, everybody, all the Murloc flossing.
This is the greatest Murloc prank. That guy's got Murloc
I had
on his
Murgle
phone.
on the top. Oh my God.
Look at how close they are. Hey guys!
Yeah, that's a stream of Murlocs going right through us.
Wow, I've never seen so many Murlocs.
I don't think I've witnessed the March of the Murlocs in the previous years.
Could this be in the Guinness Book of World Records, the most Murlocs at one place at any given time?
I think so, but we're gonna have to, we're gonna look into that right after this. All right, upcoming mobile game, Diablo Immortal was announced yesterday, so I, of course, had to go over to the demo area and check it out for myself.
Yes, I wanna see this.
I am here with Caleb Arsenault, senior game producer for Diablo Immortal. Caleb, how are you?
Doing good.
I am so excited to see it. First off, this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Seeing this up close, it is bonkers. So tell me a couple of some of the new features with Diablo Immortal.
Well, I mean, the first thing we have are persistent zones where people are able to just explore and find strangers and, you know, just have those random social encounters that you would expect in an MMO.
Yeah, it's crazy when you're actually doing a demo and somebody comes by that's a player and you're like, what are you doing in my game? Oh, right, I'll go follow you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make it happen.
And all of a sudden you're stronger and friends for life.
So, talk to me about the characters. Diablo, all about character.
Yep.
Who are the characters that we're gonna be able to play in this game? So demo here, we've got 3.
Yep. So we have the Barbarian, the Monk, and the Wizard in the demo today at Blizzcon. And then when we launch the game, we're going to have 6 classes. So we're going to add the Crusader, the Demon Hunter, and the Necromancer to that list.
Oh my God, can I see a little bit of the gameplay?
Of
You want
course.
to dive in for me? So I'm seeing, you've got a left joystick, a thumbstick, but you can sort of put your thumb anywhere, right?
Exactly.
It sort of follows your thumb?
Anywhere on the left hemisphere of the screen, I can put my thumb.
It's amazing.
That way it's flexible. So, you know, we plan to, you know, bring this out when players are like, you know, at the DMV, in between breaks, like in their commute on the bus. Like, it has to be adaptable. So I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna kill some guys.
So let me know, so how do the skills translate onto mobile? Was this a big challenge for you guys? I mean, Diablo is hack and slashy all the way.
It is. Actually, mobile we were able to adapt that really well for mobile because you're able to aim the skills really well with one finger. And that's something you haven't been able to do in any of the other versions of Diablo so far.
So all of the skills are there, or are they sort of like versions of skills you know, like reminiscent of skills that you know?
So it wouldn't be Barbarian if it didn't have Whirlwind. So we're going to bring back all the skills that people sort of expect.
Yeah.
But we are adding new ones as well. And so you'll see a mix of both new, old, and refreshed.
Right, because this lands like time-wise between 2 and 3, right?
Yes,
so
it
it's
does.
a whole beast of itself.
Exactly.
And by the way, that's one of the things I'm super excited about is actually getting to see lore that sort of fills in the gaps between 2 and 3.
Well, you know, Blizzard focuses on story.
Decided to go to the midnight launch at Fry's Electronics, and that's when we first met.
It wasn't like there was an entry-level questionnaire. It was like, how do you feel about getting life advice from your guild leader? It was more like, as they realized that that was something that they could lean on, there was very much a creation of being someone that people had to trust and want to follow and want to listen to. And developing those skills in WoW was something that was an unexpected sort of gift.
You know, we moved every 2 years, and that's hard on a family. But you could chat online through the game. You know, you stay in contact with the family, with the kids, and with my wife. And it was great. I mean, but at the same time, too, you're playing a game, you're enjoying each other's company, and having, you know, talk about, wow, he really got whacked on that one. That was pretty stupid.
After doing dungeons and battlegrounds and stuff like that, we decided to meet for lunch. Then we decided to, you know, go out to dinner once. And you always kind of wonder, is there going to be something more there? And somewhere in there in 2007 is when we, you know, started to go out on dates. And it's been 11 years.
We absolutely transcended the game. Even to this day, I will sometimes go into the Battle.net app and someone that I haven't talked to in 5 years will pop on and be like, I got into a college, or I just got my grad degree, or I'm getting married. And it's sort of amazing that they think of me as someone, even 10 years later, that they share those life events with.
We still game together very often. Still something that we actively do. Kind of look at that sometimes and joke and kind of laugh about it, about like, you know, how come
how come the only time we're mad at each other is when we're doing Marvel? Because now the Battle for Azeroth is coming out. It's kind of interesting to see us like reignite and getting his old character back and my character that's been
I want to go opposite ends, so I want to see if I can take you out. Good luck.
So today is fun. Today is something kind of new for us.
We're in the Activision Capture Studio up here in Santa Monica. This is a facility where we can do motion capture and video and texture reference of actors.
We're over on the facial capture stage, and what we're doing is we brought in our actor Jordy, who's playing Anduin, and we basically have him sitting inside a sphere of cameras.
It looks more scary than it actually is. It looks exciting though.
On to the point where us impatient casters just wanted to get the game over with and play Shudderwock, but they absolutely did the right thing in waiting to max their potential.
Yeah, and we've had some crazy matches throughout the past day and a half so far, but
You have so much more mobility that way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and let alone whenever you hear the word Bob, just go, run. You are in trouble.
Oh my God, Bob!
Big Omnic,
Do something!
Butler. He is the best.
Big Omelet Butler.
And it was always something that I think from the start, no matter any conception of the character, everybody who was working on it always said, we got to have Bob. Because this was one of the first characters that I think was inspired purely by that cinematic. It came as on a design standpoint from those guys, so we got to figure out how to do that. So Renaud Galland, who's the character modeler who worked on this, pushed really hard, did a lot of technical work with the engineers who were so willing to work with this vision that they came out that Bob has to be part of it.
Well, and she, showing Bob, yesterday they showed the cinematic version and the in-game model, and wow.
Really close.
They
so
look
good, right?
immensely close. I mean, if you're every time it's just getting closer and closer, just feeling like you're inside of the cinematic.
One of the things that Jeff Goodman talks about is that we usually do a lot of iteration around abilities, but for Ash, it felt like so much of it was clear, either from the cinematic or just in our conception of who that character was. So it was, we had a good idea, and then it kind of narrowed and focused, and there was some iteration around it, but not as wide as some of the other ones. So.
Right.
So in the cinematic, there was also a reveal of a character. So do you think is that going to be some lore development in the future based on that?
There will definitely.
We were all very surprised.
Yeah. Well, so to be super clear, it's not Athena. So just want to make sure everybody.
Yeah, that was a big question.
But Echo definitely factors in. She's important in terms of the lore of Overwatch. There's nothing I can reveal here, but it's definitely.
Well, it was interesting because hearing them talk about the fact that the cinematic came first.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, is that a first for Overwatch that the cinematic came first, and then because I mean, chock-a-block of people you could make characters out of.
Right. I think it's the first character hero that we've introduced that was inspired by the design, that came from the design purely from the cinematic. So great. It's interesting hearing Jason Hill and those guys talk about it at the panel yesterday. There was so much exploration around the design, the visual design, and even the character design of who Ash was. They went pretty wide, but once they got there, even in the animatics, you could tell immediately she was the character everybody wanted to play. It was like, this has to be a hero.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we actually have a social question for you. If you're prepared for a social question.
This is from Brady. Anna, account 15 says, hey, Overwatch, is Ash in the PTR yet?
Not in the PTR yet, but we're hoping next week.
Okay.
And we haven't talked about an official release date onto live yet, but we're hoping next week.
Yeah, it's crazy because my gamer tag is Ash.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and yes.
Wow.
So this is going to be difficult on comms now that I'm thinking about it.
Which one?
And I'm just going to have to play her all the time now.
New main.
Yeah,
new main.
But let's talk about some outside activities of Overwatch, because you also have the Nerf guns, and the Lego sets, and you're really building this world beyond the game to just really cement it as a world.
Yeah, that's a key part of kind of our vision for the franchise. Is we think we've been so overwhelmed by the response from the fans about how much they think of Overwatch not just as a game, but as a universe, and like a place that they want to inhabit, right? And so these partnerships for us are super important. I think in part maybe just because all of us on the team were such huge fans of these things as kids, and still are.
For sure.
I always talk about how my first experience building something was the Lego set my parents got me, and the Lego techniques with the gears and all that stuff.
Totally.
So seeing something I'm working on envisioned in Lego form is amazing. It's like an incredible dream.
You know what's funny too is that I've been traveling for like 5 weeks, so I hadn't been online on the launcher. And I was at my sister's house, and my 10-year-old nephew says, "Auntie, I want the Overwatch robot with the bird." And I'm like, "What are you? How do you know that?" And he had seen, because he had seen a Lego promo,
that's awesome.
and then he knew about Bastion, and then he wanted to know about Overwatch.
Yeah. So I haven't got my hands on him yet. I mean, obviously there was a lot of design work, and we partnered very, very closely with Lego. But every time I walk by there and I see people taking pictures of the characters, it makes me really, really happy.
That's
It just
fantastic.
broadens the world so much.
Totally.
And it
Well,
includes so many more
congratulations
people.
with everything. It is fantastic. Thank you,
guys.
Chaco, so much for
Thank you,
coming and
fans.
sitting down with us. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up on the show.
All right.
Still got a lot of show, people.
We do. All right, coming up, guys, at 11:05, there's going to be the World of Warcraft Classic demo, which I got a chance to do yesterday. It's a lot of fun. And then we're going to be going over to the Voices of Overwatch in the Mythic stage.
And the Pylon show is happening at Legendary at 11:30, which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot coming up here pretty soon.
And that's just the next hour.
That's just the next hour.
We should get into some of that.
Well, in fact, speaking of the World of Warcraft Classic demo, I was actually able to play it earlier, and if you're a virtual ticket holder from home, you can also play it. And yesterday I got the chance to go check it out, so take a look. Want to take a look? Hey guys, Michelle Morrow here. They let me out of my BlizzCon All Access stage page, and I get to play World of Warcraft Classic. And full disclosure, I didn't play Classic. I'm a BC baby, so I don't know what all it is. I know that my husband complains a lot. He's like, "You don't know how hard it was. We used to take forever to get them out. We ran 40 miles in the snow." It was our whole thing. So I'm just gonna randomize and get in here. An orc hunter seems pretty throwback to me. I mean, warrior more so, but I'm gonna go with a hunter here.
Hail
All
to
right,
the
drops
knight.
us right off in the Barons. Oh, Barons chat. That's the first thing. Hi. Barons chat. Oh, hi. I'm not supposed to kill him. I just want to have a plane strider, but I'm just going to kill him for fun. Yes! Oh my god, I have melee. I have aspect of the monkey. And wing clip. As an old school hunter, that's a big deal. Man, they had such a longer range for hunters back then. Like, I have to be... He didn't even give me a beak. Okay, fine. This guy's all up in my business. So is this guy. Get out of here. All right, guys. I don't even see any more plane striders around here, to be honest. I barely got to kill anything because everything's so spread out and you need them out. Mad respect to all players who made it through and played through Classic. That is a special breed, and everybody deserves an award for that, for sure. Anyway, I have to get back to work, so back to us at the desk.
Oh my god, I am so excited. I know it's so dumb. It's like, but I get giddy. I'm like,
It takes a really long time to get quest items done, so.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, man, you used to have to work for stuff, and that's when you felt like you really earned it, you know?
That's
I
what
loved
I'm talking
it.
about it. All right, yesterday, Rachel checked in with our friends at Henchman Studio to get some insight into their elite cosplay techniques. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the BlizzCon All Access coverage. My name is Rachel and I'm here with Stephanie Fair, and we are talking about our new character coming to Heroes of the Storm, Orphea, and we are very excited to meet her. We saw a little bit in the opening cinematic, but Stephanie, what else can you tell me about her?
So Orphea is an assassin that is coming to the game. She is the daughter of the Raven Lord. We actually just started building out a little bit of her background and her backstory this year through some comics that we started kind of near the beginning of the year. So there's 4 comics that you can read about, so you can learn all about her story and what she does. She carries around this relic, and that actually helps her channel her ancient powers. So when she is out in the Nexus, she will attack all of her foes, channeling that ancient power.
And you mentioned the Nexus. As I understand it, Orphea is the first Heroes character that is native to the Nexus. So tell me a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out the right way to bring a unique hero that would be truly just for heroes. And so when we started, you know, kind of coming up with more of the lore, adding more of the backstory to the Nexus, we really felt like this is the right path. This is the right way to go, and this is like our first character, and we're just so excited that we can bring a unique hero to the Nexus.
And Orphea is a slam dunk of a character. She's got so many intricacies, so many interesting parts of her lore that you've been spelling out in the comics. What else are fans going to get to learn about for Orphea?
Well, it's just going to see how her story evolves. I'm like, I can't give away everything. She's gonna be hitting the PTR soon. People should really start to go and play. She does a lot of damage to her enemies. I think Chomp.
Do love seeing that magic come out of the relic and attack. It is pretty impressive. And Orphea has a very interesting look about her. She's got the white hair, the red eyes. Can you tell me a little bit about the design of Orphea?
She just definitely wanted to have her own look. We wanted to have something that would be a little bit more like vibrant and kind of sassy. And like when I see her, that's kind of like the just emotions that she puts out. And it's wonderful. Like the whole team is already designing so many wonderful skins. I can't tell you all the skins, but I'm like, I will tell you, I love looking through the team art and seeing it and being like, it's amazing.
This is a huge inspiration, I think, not just to Heroes fans, but I'm assuming to the entire Heroes community. There is so much here with Orphea that you have now opened Pandora's Relic and brought it to Heroes. Can you tell us anything else that we might be excited for coming up?
I would say that this is just only the beginning for Heroes, and you never know who else is going to make their way to the Nexus.
Stephanie, thank you so much. And Rebecca, thank you for coming out in your beautiful Orphea cosplay with your giant and wonderful relic. This is Henchman Props that put all this together. They did such a wonderful job, so I do want to give them a shout out. And Stephanie, anything else you want to add to all the fans watching?
Just have a great BlizzCon. I hope everybody has a wonderful BlizzCon, and see you in the Nexus.
See you in the Nexus, guys. Back to you.
Henchman design kills it every time.
All the time.
Even her makeup looked incredible.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. My only question was, how big is that relic? Like, how heavy is that thing?
I know, right?
She's supposed to sort of like side sling it, like, you know.
Yeah, get that girl a massage afterwards.
I know.
All right, guys. Earlier we were asking you, who's dominating the social battleground? Is it Horde?
Oh, come on.
Or Alliance? Let's check out the result.
Yes! No!
Yes!
You demons!
Zandala forever!
Undead!
Victory for Sylvanas! All of the things, Alex.
You burned the house down.
37% of you are still traitors, Alliance.
Oh, well, you guys got really into this hashtag battle.
We dressed in faction colors.
We did. We actually did dress in faction colors. But you guys got really into this battle. Well, you should probably read this one.
Leanne, Sylvanas. She says, Dark Lady, watch over you. Ah, yes, girl. And over you as well.
I'm hoping there's some. There you go. We got Temporal Wizard.
I will say that
Alliance
cinematic was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That actor's incredible as well. Big Boss Baby, hashtag don't use Twitter, which is hilarious.
All of that is amazing.
Friends, Tychondrius is ready to raid for the Horde. That's amazing. That must be their guild, which is really cool.
I love that they were doing like a guild watch.
Yeah.
Guild watch party.
I love
Go
that.
get some stuff. Jesus Paternia. I am seeing all the new content at Warcraft and couldn't be more excited. Seeing my night elves being badass again did it for me. Yes. I'm actually really excited that the new Warfronts that we're going into Teldrassil, and we're gonna fix some stuff.
Yeah.
That was an emotional beginning of an expansion.
It was I gotta say, that cinematic is what everybody's like, oh, whoa, we really are Horde versus Alliance.
We're going there.
Something bad happening.
Yeah, we are doing this.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, you know, look, We all have a great time here, and it is now time to see some incredible voiceover actors who bring the characters to life for Overwatch. We're going to head over to the Mythic stage now for the start of Voices of Overwatch. Enjoy.
Oh, you know what? Actually, it's not quite ready yet.
Oh.
We're going to take a look actually at the Ashe Overwatch. I'm getting a lot of
Yeah, we're going to see some stuff.
We're going to see some stuff.
We're going to play some
stuff. We're going to see the McCree cinematic.
Cinematics,
That's what we're going to see. All right, guys.
I hope they roll all the cinematics. I just want to keep watching.
Just the whole thing. Actually, last night when I was looking on Twitter, there was one person who was like, love the McCree cinematic, but how did they do that pie crumble?
Yeah.
Just like all of these little tiny details. All right, guys,
Let's
it's
check it
ready. Check out that pie crumble. It's going to be there in a minute.
Jesse McCree. Been a while. You promised you'd ride.
Well, I've been kind of busy.
Pretty busy ourselves. So it's awful convenient you showing up today.
Yeah. Never been one to shy away from a good tip.
Hey, we worked hard for this score. You best move on now.
All I want is that crate. Everything else is yours.
This...
They won't hear you, they don't care. It's easy, but don't you try. It's a pointless way to die. I don't see you when I open my eyes. I need to be near you. Is anyone out there? Tombstone in the rain. No kisses, no embrace. Falls to her knees and loses faith. It's easy, but don't you try. It's a pointless way to die. I don't see you when I open my eyes. I need to be near you. Is anyone out there? Can I take it that you don't need my help, and I am finally absolved of value? I can face it, but I don't need anyone else. Nobody does it like you do. And for all the others, there'll be better days ahead. And while I recover. I'll be wishing I was dead. Time has passed, another thing has changed. So I gotta grow wings or die. I don't need another reason not to die than life. Tell me if I'm doing it right this time. But let me know, what did you change? Did it feel the same? Did it ease your pain? I've lost myself along with everyone else, and now the safest place is here in my head. Well, I've been left on my own to survive, but I wish I was dead. To stay back here, biding my time and waiting it out. Looking up to the skies despite these weakling wings that'll never take flight. I don't even have the lungs to shout, but I need to know, what did you change? Did it feel the same? Did it ease your pain? I've lost myself alone with everyone else, and now the safest place is here in my head. Well, I've been left on my own to survive, but I'm wishing I was dead. Well, if life's just a game, I need to learn how to play. It's all the same. Please remember my name, 'cause I don't need anything else. Well, for all the others, there'll be better days ahead. And while I recover, I'll be wishing I was dead. I've lost myself along with everyone else, and now the safest destination. Let's look to the past and bring it back instead of original creation. Can't get through my head. Everything done's being done again. Is repetition the mission and being at home, just changing station. We don't really get along. You're gonna instigate a change in heart. It's not a case of a real quick fix-up when it's an intricate and subtle art. Come back here, you're not done yet. You've done your part, it's still a threat. So raise your hands and show the way. punishment. And you're the master, and I am waiting for disaster. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. I drink my drink and I don't even want to. I think my thoughts when I don't even need to. I never look back cause I don't even want to. And I don't need to because I'm getting away with murder. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. Somewhere beyond happiness and sadness, I need to calculate what creates my own madness. And I'm addicted to your punishment, and you're the master, and I am craving this disaster. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. It's here. Ready on the balcony, yeah? Let's go. Brixton, ready to freak out.
Hello.
someone I can't face. I can't replace you. You're the swirling wind above the sea, the maddest storm they've seen. Now you're breaking waves and smashing dreams. You can't help it. You're drowning streets and stranding a million people. You're starting out with me. You're crashing down from anger. You stopped and settled, and now you're sound asleep and so serene. I said I'd never walk away, but I'm not able to stay. I said I'd never leave this place, but I can't stay here to watch you fade and watch you change into someone I can't face. I can't replace you. And when the sun is down, and when the skies are calm, you'll see, calm will be. We'll wait for the cycle, we'll repeat our same mistakes, the same mistakes we've always made. I said I'd never walk away, but I'm not able to stay. I said I'd never leave this place, but I can't stay here to watch you fade and watch you change into someone I can't face. I can't replace you. I said I'd never walk away, but I'm not able to stay. I said I'd never leave this place, but I can't stay here to watch you fade and watch you change into someone I can't
I just came down from Chippewa, had a station wagon and $100, thinking about the girl I'd lost a year before. I hadn't seen her for some time, thought I might go on by when your memory came flooding in and you closed that door. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a diesel locomotive. I'd come whistling down your track and crashing in your door. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I didn't have a heart. You need a shovel for the coal just to get me started. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train. Well, every time I talk to you, I hear your jealous lies. I feel like I've been left abandoned on some old railway side. And every time I hear your voice, my water just gets cold. My stoker will not stoke, and my boiler will not boil. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a diesel locomotive. I'd come whistling down your track, crashing in your door. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I didn't have a heart. You need a shovel for the coal just to get me started. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train. Fell behind, I could not get ahead. I wish someone would pull the lever and give me a little sand. And every time I slip behind, even further back, I wish some switchman would come out of the fog and change my track. Wish it was a freight train, baby, wish it was a diesel locomotive. I'd come whistling down your track, crashing in your door. Wish it was a freight train, baby, wish I didn't have a heart. You need a shovel for the coal just to get me started. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train. Was a diesel locomotive, I'd come whistling down your track, crashing in your door. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I didn't have a heart. You need a shovel for the coal just to get me started. Wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train, baby, wish I was a freight train.
Life is all there. like the breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue waters, dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear her voice in the morning as she calls me, and radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, why don't you take me home? Country roads, why don't you take me home? Country roads, take me home. Country roads, why don't you take me home? Country roads.
Cause I hit him with a, and then with a, and then with a, and then with a, and then with a. Cause I hit him with a. Let's go. And then with a. Cause I hit him with cause I hit him. Cause I hit him with a. Cause I hit him with a. And then with a.
'Cause I hit him. kill you makes you stronger. I can feel the blades cutting in my skin, but there's a will within. I'm looking it straight in the eye. There's nothing to fear. I am brave like a warrior. Let the blood flow and feel your hunger. Fear yourself into a warrior. Don't be scared, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. 'Cause as long as you're there to hold me, I'll always be calling you home. Don't know what's waiting before me, but I don't have to go it alone. 'Cause as long as you're there to hold me, I'll always be calling you home. Always be calling you home. Always be calling you home. Calling you home. Calling you home.
I need to get closer.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head. Why won't somebody come and save me from this? Make it in. I feel it deep within, it's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become, the nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. My secret side I keep hid under lock and key. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. 'Cause if I let him out, he'll tear me up, break me down. Why won't somebody come and save me from this? Make it in. I feel it deep within, it's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become, the nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel it deep within, it's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. It's hiding in the dark, its teeth are razor sharp. There's no escape for me, it wants my soul, it wants my heart. No one can hear me scream, maybe it's just a dream. Maybe it's inside of me. Stop this monster. I feel it deep within, it's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become, the nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel it deep within, it's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I gotta lose control, it's something radical. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I
Pineapple breathe.
Used to keep it cool, used to be a fool, all about the bounce in my step. Watch it on the news, what you gonna do? I could hit refresh and forget. Used to keep it cool. Should I keep it light, stay out of the fight? No one's gonna listen to me. If I write a song, preaching what is wrong, will they let me sing on TV? Should I keep it light? Is that right? Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down. We gon' burn the whole house down. Yeah, used to let it go. Walk into the show, gawking at the tricks up your sleeve. Too good to be true. Full, I'm in a room full of entertainers and thieves. Used to let it go. Need help? No. Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house down. We gon' burn the whole house down. Should I hang my head low? Should I bite my tongue? Or should I march with every stranger from Twitter to get shit done? Used to hang my head low, now I hear it loud. Every stranger from Twitter is gonna burn this down. Way up we go. Been up and down that road. Way up, oh no. We gon' burn the whole house down. Watch me standing in line. You're only serving lies. You got something to hide. We gon' burn the whole house Stay so the world could see you leave in desperation. Fly towards the sun, this is the countdown to extinction. You fall, you're high afraid to lose your life. You stay, but just so you could fly astray. A million miles away, I run through time and space, see the world from afar. When my journey turns into a race, I will roll the earth and I conquer the stars. If you have 1,000 reasons to stay, then I'll be 1,000,000 light years away. God side, but I'm perfected. It's all bizarre. You stay and pray for others.
Champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you've been. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers to this. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. Morning comes and you know that you wanna stay. Close the blinds, let's pretend that the time has changed. Keep our clothes on the floor, open up champagne. Let's continue tonight, come on, celebrate. That's how we do. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house.
new.
got my first truck when I was 3. Drove 100,000 miles on my knees. Hauled marbles and rocks and thought twice before I hauled a Barbie doll bed for the girl next door. She tried to pay me with a kiss and I began to understand there's something women like about a pickup man. When I turned 16, I saved a few $100. My first car was a pickup truck. I was cruising the town and the first girl I seen was Bobby Joe Gentry, the homecoming queen. She flagged me down and climbed up in the cab and said, I never knew you were a pickup man. You can set my truck on fire and roll it down a hill, and I still wouldn't trade it for a Coupe de Ville. I got an 8-foot bed that never has to be made. You know, if it weren't for trucks, we wouldn't have tailgates. I met all my wives in traffic jams. Are just something women like about a pickup man. Most Friday nights I can be found in the bed of my truck on an old Chase Lounge, backed into my spot at the drive-in show. You know, a cargo light gives off a romantic glow. I never have to wait in line at the popcorn stand, cause there's something women like about a pickup man. You can set my truck on fire and roll it down a hill, and I still wouldn't trade it for a Coupe de Ville. I got an 8-foot bed that never has to be made. You know, if it weren't for trucks, we wouldn't have tailgates. I met all my wives in traffic jams. Are just something women like about a pickup man. Oh, stand on this one. A bucket of rust or a brand new machine. Once around the block and you'll know what I mean. You can set my truck on fire and roll it down a hill, and I still wouldn't trade it for a Coupe de Ville. I got an 8-foot bed that never has to be made. You know, if it weren't for trucks, we wouldn't have tailgates. I met all my wives in traffic jams. Are just something women like about a pickup man. Yeah, there's something women like about a pickup man.
Be careful.
eternal me. You can believe in that. You can believe in that. I found truth in the aftermath and got everything that ever really mattered back. You can believe in that. You can believe in that. I won't be compromised. I know how to survive the worst. I can pull myself out of the step back and watch the show. Hear crying we will be heard before the curtains close. The voice of the unknown. Hear crying citizen radio. We'll always be the ones who told you so. And I've seen another future through the broken hearts down Union Avenue. You can believe in that. You can believe in that. And I've had to wait long enough. I can't turn back now. There's no giving up. You can believe in that. You can believe in that. I won't be used again. I died out to defend myself against the world. Step back and watch the show. Hear the cry of citizen radio. We will be heard before the curtains close. The voice of the unknown. Hear the cry of citizen radio. We'll always be the ones who told you so.
Greetings, friends. I'm Darren DePaul, and this is Elite Cosplay. Let's meet this year's contest judges. Jessica Drew Johnson, a senior artist on the cinematics team. Lorraine Torres, a compatibility analyst with operations. And Stephen Dwyer, a tools engineer on the World of Warcraft team. Let's hear about what's new.
We have a lot of new changes this year, including categories. We're celebrating how diverse our cosplays are, from groups to effects to huge builds. Additionally, we're going to be having an exhibition stage where everyone can show off what they've made.
Every year we get to see some of the most incredible cosplay. The exhibition stage is the perfect place for everyone to showcase their work.
Well, I know that's got me curious, so if you want to find out more information, use the link below. We've already been looking at some of your submissions for this year. We're really excited by what we see, so if you want to join us in the next episode where we delve into that process, please do. Until then, from the 3 judges, thanks very much.
See you next time on Elite Cosplay.
My name is
as well to unlock that content. So it's whether you want to play the game or you want to watch StarCraft on Twitch, either way you'll be able to earn XP towards your war chest unlocks.
Like a new avenue as opposed to a singular avenue.
That makes sense, yeah.
Hey there. My question is for Oriel. So DeepMind open sourced the reinforcement learning code that they used for the mini games, and that was awesome to read through. Over the summer, there was a paper published for the deep relational reinforcement learning. Are there plans to open source that code? I'm just really interested in the types of relations that were used, the rules that the inductive part of that was learning and everything.
Cool, yeah, thanks for the question. So in fact, last week we open sourced a GraphNet library. Precisely, you can implement the paper very easily. I'm happy to give you pointers through email or perhaps later But we actually just very good timing because last week we open sourced a very nice library to implement these sorts of models that deal with relations between objects.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
On the topic of co-op, I wanted to ask if there's any plans to make it more difficult besides brutal or mutations.
What a badass. Look at that.
Kevin, you want to?
I can take that. Yeah, so we talked internally a lot about how we can make co-op more difficult for our players. A very common suggestion is to increase the number of units that spawn or increase the HP or attack damage of the units that spawn. But what we found is that because co-op commanders are so powerful, so much more powerful than their versus counterparts, that a lot of them have abilities that just kind of overwhelm pretty much anything you can throw at them, anything that Amon can throw at them. So internally we are trying to find new ways to cater towards that audience that tries to play extreme or even more brutal missions. But we don't think right now that going that avenue, just adding a brutal plus would be a way to
I wanted to briefly follow up about how you think of the co-op leaderboard that was brought up in relation to that. Perhaps a different avenue to address it.
Yeah, so we know that in co-op or in the co-op community, there are a lot of players who kind of compete within themselves. They kind of see it as their way to use a brutal plus, and we want to cater towards that community as well. So that's the idea behind co-op.
Awesome, thank you. And I think we're going to have time for 2 or 3 more questions. Just want everyone to be aware, so yeah, go on.
Hello, guys. I absolutely love co-op as well, but I want to know if there's anything that you guys are going to do about trolls in co-op. So what happened to me really quick was we were doing a mission, and then all of a sudden towards the end of the mission, he wiped out every one of my structures, and then it flashed defeat after we beat the mission. So I got decremented a lot of experience points, and I want to know if there's anything to do. If we beat the mission, I should get the full experience. But I'm just saying, not to give everyone ideas, but...
Yeah, well, that...
We're going to have a bunch of probe rushing co-op murders right now in chat. It's going to be great.
I had to bring it up.
Yeah, that particular case definitely sounds like something we should fix, but I don't know, Kevin, do you want to talk about trolling in co-op in general?
Right, so what we found is, well, we discussed that internally as well, but what we found is if we take the ability to attack your opponents or your allies' units, the players are very creative, our community is very creative, and they can find new exciting ways to troll your allies.
Well, of course. I just want the experience so I get my levels.
Yeah, well, we can definitely look into that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I think we have time for 2 more.
Hey guys. Yep. Hey guys. So I've had a chance to play Zeratul, and I love the fantasy you gave him. I especially love the Legion commanders, which you took seemingly from short stories that are relatively obscure. But I noticed some tiny inconsistencies, like Zoria's used a male model instead of a female, and the High Templar, can't remember his name, but he has his nerf cords. I was wondering if those models were finalized or not, or yeah.
Well, I'll just throw out the version.
So there are some competitive considerations there just around advantage of having more screen real estate. So we've debated that on and off, but that's something we'd love to hear feedback from the community from. So if there are opinions, yeah, let us know.
Thank you. We can definitely take 1 more question for sure.
Hi, my question has to do with the co-op commanders coming out and how you guys keep pushing them out. How many do you think we can more expect? Because I've noticed that recently, most of the co-op commanders coming out there's at least less of them, or how do I put this? A lot of the major lore characters are either dead or have already been turned into co-op commanders.
All right, I'll start this one, and then I'm going to pass it to Kevin. But Yeah, one of the things that happened on the team that was exciting for co-op in this past year was having Kevin join the team. And when Kevin came in, and yeah, welcome Kevin Monk to the StarCraft 2 team. So yeah. When Kevin came in, he had a lot of strong opinions about ways to improve the commanders that had already released, and he put a lot of work into doing balance passes and revamps on those. Since then, he's created Tychus and now Zeratul. But what you observed is true, that I think we're running through a lot of the major lore characters. So we have ideas about that. And I'll say from the production side, we don't see an end in sight for making co-op commanders right now. But Kevin, maybe you want to add to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of more exciting characters that we could do. Popular one that I hear is Celendis, maybe, or one of the Minxes. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Tosh? Okay, yeah, Tosh is a very popular one, too.
Going back to the story question, too, you know, there's nothing to say that we can't add characters to StarCraft lore. So, I don't know. How do you... Yeah.
Thank you. Well, unless you have any final comments about this, I think that's about all we have time for. Anything else you want to add, Mo?
Yeah, we're good.
Great. Well, to any of you who had questions, we apologize. We are out of time. For all of you who did come out, we just want to say thank you so much. StarCraft 2 esports is going to be that way. Please, please tune in. Finals are at 5:30, I believe, 5:30?
For grand finals, yes.
Oh, yeah, 5:30 for grand finals. Definitely check it out. I'm rooting for Cyril. I have no shame at all. And hope you have a wonderful rest of Blizzcon.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
BlizzCon 2018 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, the Nintendo Switch, and NVIDIA.
Yeah. All right, welcome back, everybody. And, of course, welcome back, Michelle. How was it out there?
Thank you. It was so fun. I actually got to check out some esports, which we aren't showing you a ton of like right now. I know Malik's going to give us an update on it, but I was over watching MTI as well as just watching China take that game away from Canada, which was amazing. I'm really glad I got to catch some esports.
I can't wait for the update. I got a lot to say about
I
that.
know. So before you do that, because I want to hear it all, let's take a look at what's going on coming up in the show. We're going to be having the esports update from Malik, like we said, but we're also going to have Restoring History at 1:30, which is creating World of Warcraft Classic.
Yeah, that's
I'm really
excited.
That's
yeah, really, really cool. And then Tim Morton's going to be talking about StarCraft 2 with you guys. Yep. I think it'll be really fun.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I'm excited for that update for sure.
Yeah, the StarCraft panel, everything looked fantastic.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
definitely.
super fun.
And then when you guys are, then we're going to be taking you guys a little bit after that to the